Now, although most output devices such as monitors and projectors typically work straight out of the box, there are a few maintenance concerns and some software settings that we might need to tackle in order to configure or troubleshoot them. Now, first of all, with our friend here, the Epson projector, one of the main things you need to worry about with projectors is because they have such an open airflow in them to cool off that bulb, is a lot of times you'll experience what's known as intermittent projector shutdown, and a lot of times it's just caused by simple overheating. So you can pop these plastic cases off, you can clean it out inside, and sometimes that will fix the issue. Another big thing with projectors is your burned out bulbs. So these bulbs right here, these are a replaceable commodity. They have to be changed out every X amount of life hours in them. And they can be quite expensive depending on the projector that you get. Now, let's talk about monitors. Everybody's favorite, right? You'll notice right here on my monitor, I'm having a little bit of trouble with it. I think it's because I have not changed to the correct data source. And that's something you may encounter. So let's go ahead and switch to our proper data source. And there we go. Perfect. Awesome. So we've got our desktop here. But you know what? I'm not really happy with how this is laid out. I'd prefer to have it laid out where my mouse, instead of moving off the right of the screen, goes to the left and goes to this monitor. So let's go inside Windows settings here, and I'm going to open up our display settings and our personalization, and I actually want to drag this monitor over here. My mouse moves on to the other screen the other way. So I've changed the actual layout of the monitors. And inside here, you can do all sorts of things. You can set different orientations for your monitor, such as landscape versus portrait. We can adjust the brightness and color. Windows has some great stuff in here, like night lights. A lot of times staring at these blue lights that come out of these monitors for long times, especially late into the night, can cause vision issues. So Microsoft has implemented a thing called Night Light that actually displays warmer colors and a more dim monitor the later we get into the night. So you can still work well into the evening hours and not be all wired from all that blue light. Now, a couple of things you need to be worried about with troubleshooting monitors. Number one is sometimes we have cabling issues, right? Now, don't do this at home, but this is an old VGA cable that we don't really care about. So I'm going to go ahead and just rip that pin right out. If you work in an environment that uses old cables such as VGA for your displays, and you notice possibly a blue tint or different things going on that should not be there, you probably or more than likely have a bent or broken pin. This isn't really a concern so much in modern DVI and HDMI and DisplayPort cablings, but it's still something that you need to be aware of. Now, old monitors used to have a problem called image burn-in or display burn-in. We don't see it a lot anymore with these new LEDs and LCDs and OLED monitors, but back in the day with our CRT, which are cathode ray tube monitors, we used to see that a lot. And that basically comes from just having the image on and steady, not using screensavers, and after a certain amount of time, all those pixels will get burnt right into the screen. Speaking of pixels, this is a dead pixel. You might see these a lot. If you see a dead pixel in your monitor, that monitor has a physical defect and needs to be returned or repaired. Now, you might also have to deal with incorrect color displays in your monitor or dim images. There's a lot of different things, but most of that stuff can be handled within your display settings. One more thing I wanted to touch on is a flashing screen, and this typically is caused by cable misconfigurations or incompatibilities, such as using a low-speed HDMI cable in a high-speed HDMI environment can actually lead to that flashing screen issue. And that's it. Troubleshooting displays is really that easy because in the end they are output devices, so just make sure you check your cabling and your settings, and Windows helps make that easy.